Now this once again, this looks like the type of game we would get in, say, the Alima League. So if you guys don't already tune in on Saturdays to watch the Alima League, we see this matchup far too many times. And with all these players remaining at this point, they're all pretty consistent players there as well. So all the more reason to mark down even more base rate TV casting on your calendar. But spawning here in the bottom left side of Ruins of Saras, he as well as his opponent are on their last lives here in the losers bracket. It's going to be the blue Protoss Dead Pixels Patience.
In the top right, as the red Zerg, it is Soulkey. What's the TING Zerg? The shit.
Yeah, that tournament's really, the advertising is working on you, Zambergo.
Apparently. It's a color now.
Okay, so the winner of this will move on to the qualifying match. So regardless of who you're cheering for, they do have one more best of 3 to get through. And they will play the winner of Gumiho versus Blaze. That match is playing out simultaneously because we didn't want to hold it and we didn't want to take too much longer, as this is starting to get fairly late in Korea at this point. Luckily, this hasn't been the longest cast of all time by any stretch of the imagination, but we don't want players starting, 5 rounds away from finishing at 1 a.m.
Yeah, it's actually 1 a.m. where they are now.
Yeah.
1:30.
Okay, so as we get into this game, keep in mind that Soulkey and Patience can still qualify through a second Korean qualifier. And furthermore than that, there is a wild card set of qualifiers that players can fall back to as well. So if, let's say, Patience, for whatever reason, doesn't get invited back, and on top of this, he loses the second Korean qualifier, there are 2 wild card qualifiers he can participate in. Now, those wildcard qualifiers are really going to be open to anybody and everybody. So players who fall out of these types of brackets, the C folks who couldn't play in any of the other regions, it is really, truly going to be the wildcards. Like, we don't even know what server we're going to put that priority on. I'm assuming NA, but it's a lot of opportunity for players to come back in this tournament.
Chat like that John Cena timing.
Oh yeah, we got a donation. Sorry, I forgot about that. I didn't check it during the break. Who was this? JTDC donated $5 to the channel and said if Rifkin is a vampire, nerf Zerg. If Rifkin is not a vampire, buff Terran. But the paradox here is that there's no option to buff anything. So it wouldn't matter if I was a vampire or not because I can't fulfill that request.
You done messed up, man.
You done goofed and wasted $5. Congratulations for basically setting money on fire, JTDC.
Apparently it made the commercial that much better, though.
Oh, okay.
So, get that much for us. Yeah, you just talked about how many chances they have, and that's what we really thought was going to be the case. They would all, appreciate that they would, the best would come out. That's kind of the idea of a double elimination. Where in a single elimination, same as best of ones, maybe there's a little bit of a chance they'll get cheesed out, but the time doesn't really work for Koreans as much, I suppose. But we have our consistent Alim Leaguers, consistent just friends of the channel, I suppose. All the Koreans that we know and love actually still battling it out in the lower bracket. Blaze and Gumio being on the opposite side.
Yeah. Okay, well, first off, I was expecting Soulkey to do so much more with these legs, but they finally get on top of one of the adepts. Looks like they might get a kill. That's not too bad. Ruins being the first map, though, kind of prevents, I guess, early series cheese, early tilt. There are some players like Soulkey who have actually been doing those early pulls against Protoss. We didn't see that this game, so might actually just see this one play out, which would be nice. We don't see a lot of late game PvZ, to be honest.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of busts lately. I think that it's always happens, right? When there's a nerf or a buff of anything, there's always the abuse on said thing. So DTs were buffed, like, oh my god, DTs everywhere, right? Like, cannons were nerfed, like, oh my god, like, bust the cannons because they're no good anymore type of deal. So it makes sense, and I guess it also would make sense that everything would start balancing back into the mid-game. But Soulkey is also the type to do really weird things, so I was going to say, were you?
Yeah. I was actually going to say more than that, though. I really hope they don't buff DTs.
Oh, okay. On that comment. Yeah, they wanted to one day, like once upon a time.
I know. They were going to increase the movement speed. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that was a terrible idea. I don't know why they were thinking.
I don't know why they just don't give them blink. I mean, if we're just going to
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it's true. But like I was trying to say for TT's game back, Soulkey has done a lot of weird things in the mid game. So he can do early pulls, he can do Roach Ravager, but he's also can do like Baneling drops. He can do the melee upgrade. So this is actually why we initially started to really like Soulkey, and I started to forgive him for, reverse killing innovation. So
Actually, yeah,
so-
it's not just the Bailey drops, but it is that just next step of thinking of like what can you do differently that was really cool, and I like that quite a bit. Now this game we don't have any tech coming out, but he's got such a big army supply. Any of these stalkers, well, they're gonna get caught. Blink's done, but Ling's speed are gonna be better. Quickly answering something you brought up in chat though from that last commercial we played, the one with Isabel. That's actually the TING call center. Like, there's some people being shitty trolls earlier trying to say, like, oh, TING call center's all in the Philippines. But we actually got to see their office. We went on a tour of the building. And what you guys see in that commercial is literally they're upstairs.
Yeah. Well, I can't forget that this is Ruins and this is Patience. And he was the first one to showcase to us how good the Blink Stalker all-in is on this map. So
yeah, and it's just about splitting. Like, this location right here splits the attention between the main and the third so frustratingly badly.
Yeah. Now I guess there are a couple ways to play it, and Patience was also one of the ones that did this pretty commonly. Like, you can go all Blink Stalker, all Blink Stalker, and just try and actually win through the abuse. He started to add in those adepts. Obviously, he's doing that right now.
You
can elevate them, elevate through them, or you can send them into the third base / natural while the Roach are chasing the Blink Stalkers. Like, because honestly, they'll take down a lot of Lings, even if they die.
Seems to be the case. Now, the Stalkers do blink up to the high ground. Unfortunately, the Adepts, though, not quite killed. Do go to the natural. As the Stalkers, actually, the Sentry comes to the main. He's going to force it off that ramp.
Wow.
Ooh. And of course, he can save these Sentries inside that Warp Prism if he needs to. Stalker's going to come and try and protect them. Pick them up. A little bit scary. So this is annoying because the Ravager would, of course, break the force fields. That's what it's built and intended for. There we go, gonna break that first one. Has to put down a new force field right away, but the Ravager shot actually breaks it for him. So now Patience has got to consider falling back out of this.
This is so far just straight up not worked. I mean, there's 3 different things that went on, like, and all of them are pretty clever. The abuse of the high ground Blink, the Adepts trying to distract the units, and then the force field on the ramp. All pretty abusive. Like, if this had actually worked, I'll be crying like Protoss is so stupid, right? But it's all just been easily handled by Soulkey. He had plenty of units, and I guess that's because he did stop droning on 50. 9 drones have gone down to the Adepts. Oh, to make it even more Protoss, he added some Dark Templar. Totally, yeah, that makes sense.
Strike through the shadows. Time is now.
I get the music, but I don't get the text.
It's so perfect though. It's like you can't see me as like the DTs are like attacking and dying. Unfortunately,
I also can't see the text, so it all makes sense.
Well, JTDC says Zombie Grub. I can provide low-cost holy water for protection against Rifkin.
You think an Irish Catholic family doesn't have holy water? Like,
no. Hold me out. Hear me out. JTDC's been really intent on proving I'm a vampire. In fact, going as far as to allegedly eat garlic in a video on Twitter. I think this is a bad case of like he doth protest too much type thing, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe he is the vampire and he didn't really eat garlic, but something fake to throw us all off. So now no one's looking his direction when it comes to vampires.
I have nothing to say on this matter.
Just like I really don't give two fucks.
Like, I'm just like I don't think he saw me, but I was like looking at our Skype window.
No. It's just like stop. Just stop.
Yeah. So, despite what it was a failed attack, Patience isn't doing so badly. The DTs really helped. They're still helping. Yep. His third base came down, I guess, sometime during the attack, so it's all saturated and ready to go already.
He did lose that one immortal in the middle of the map, which is quite unfortunate, and Lings actually get move commanded through the Stalkers to die. That really sucks. But 18 workers died. Soulkey is moving towards the fourth base, and that's great, but he actually doesn't have the saturation to do this just yet.
How many drones have been killed here? 22 drones.
Yeah, another 4 comes from this attack.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, more than half of that has been from, or about half has been from the DTs. Actually, warping in DTs to turn into Archons as well to really solidify the army. As Soulkey goes into his own Lurker Den, that makes a lot of sense. A mortal Archon plus whatever else you throw in there is going to be able to bust through the army and hopefully get to the heart of the Lurkers and tear them down as well. But he also might just be attacking before Lurkers are ready.
The Lings don't have upgrades yet, but they do surround the Stalkers and make them waste a bunch of shots. But here comes the sort of cavalry from behind. Ooh, force field's looking good. Traps some of the Ravagers and Roaches. trying to break the force field. It's not a bad choice out of Soulkey, but Patience's army has a +1 advantage. That looks like that'll stick for the fight, as long as he hits in the next 20 seconds or so. And the actual type of units he has are going to be more effective as well. Archons and Immortals just going to Shrek every and anything that's over here.
Yeah, I mean, Soulkey, had he had everything combined, including Hydras, I mean, they wouldn't be Lurkers, right? But they would add a lot of DPS. He might be unable to hold.
There's actually a really good Corsair Battle hit that hit a good chunk of the Stalkers while this was going on. But that blink forward now getting aggressive. Can't run away from those Corsair Battles. Eats some more
Pretty
to the
bold.
face. But those Immortals remain somewhat untouched while this goes on. Drones getting pulled. Soulkey, it's getting so scary.
Yeah, I mean, it was so close. The Hydras came out and the +1 finished as he blinked in. So that's why, like, you know, if those two things didn't happen, yeah, he probably would have won. But that was a pretty perfect mixture that actually scares Patience to back off for a couple of seconds here. Soulkey, he might have pulled the drones, but didn't actually lose any. He's still at 65. He will abandon the base, I guess because a DT or a Adept is harassing at depths. But he's still mining fairly prettily, and he does have the Lurker Dam, but it's not enough time to actually get any Lurkers.
Yeah, if he actually sits down and morphs the Lurkers, it's not about the Protoss army getting on top of it, but it's about not having the Hydras to fight the Protoss army to buy the time to make those Lurkers. So it's a really awful situation to be in. The Immortals still remain mostly untouched through this, so the Roaches are just being absolutely annihilated by that bonus damage versus armored. Finally, Barrier gets popped on one of the Immortals, but yeah, there's 4 Immortals in this.
Yeah.
4 Immortals.
They're getting through the heart of the Roaches and the Hydras and the Ravagers. We're going on easily after that. So, I mean, a pretty decent defense, but still not enough. And
Still
Soulkey is
DTs.
probably like, damn it, I thought I had this. Like, I defended the first attack.
It kind of looked like that's the direction it was heading to, but this is a little too far gone at this point. And even the DTs, like, the fact that he's able to use DTs on the front line says a lot about the way this has gone. GG.
Jeez.
Patience. Game number 1.